Okay, so we will start with class session 2, that is on unit 4, that is second law of thermodynamics. So this is of course the syllabus, and you can just go through this syllabus once again. The copy of the syllabus you are already having. In class 1 we have discussed limitation of first law, concept of heat engine, concept of refrigerator, concept of heat pump, that is concept of efficiency and COP and all. Of course, these are all very basic things which we have discussed in the first class session. Now in class number 2, class 2 session, we will be discussing some very basic problems on heat engine, some basic problems on refrigerator and heat pump, and of course the Kelvin's-Planck statement for second law and Clausius statement for second law. There are two different statements for second law, and both laws lead to almost the same meaning. And lastly, we will be discussing that both statements are equivalent and the violation of one becomes a violation of the other. That is what we will be discussing as point number 5. So these are a bit advanced topics in second law. So we will be starting with first simple problems on heat engines. So I'll just read out the problem and try to know what actually is the given data. An engine has a heat input of 500 kilojoule at 437 degrees centigrade. It rejects 200 kilojoule at 82 degrees centigrade. The engine develops 250 kilojoule of work, and check whether such an engine is possible or not. So what all data is given? Heat input data is given, that is 500 kilojoule, and that heat input is taking from a source which is at a temperature of 437 degrees centigrade, and it is rejecting around 200 kilojoule of heat, that is a given data, and 82 degrees centigrade temperature at which the heat rejection is taking place. And when this heat engine takes that heat input and rejects certain thing, that is 200 kilojoule, on the verge of that the engine, he says, is developing some 250 kilojoule of work. Now the problem asks us to check whether such engine is possible or not. Now first we will try to understand what is a reversed heat engine. Now if you take up a heat engine in general, it is taking some Q in quantity of heat from the high temperature source and rejecting Q out quantity of heat to the low temperature sink, and Q in minus Q out of course is the W net work output. Now if you take up the similar diagram, hot reservoir, Q1 quantity giving it to a heat engine, Q2 quantity is getting rejected to the cold reservoir, and there is a work output taking place, that's Q1 minus Q2. Now when I can call this engine to be a reversed heat engine? Suppose I reverse this heat engine and reverse the direction of the transfer of heat, then the transfer of work will also get reversed. Suppose you reverse this heat engine, it becomes a heat pump or a refrigerator. So it will draw Q2 quantity of heat from the cold reservoir and take W quantity of work as an input and reject Q1 quantity of heat to the hot reservoir, wherein Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W. Here W is Q1 minus Q2. So such an engine which can be reversed, means follows a reversible process, it will give you maximum efficiency. So before directly jumping on to this problem, we have first understood what actually is a reversed heat engine. Now if you go to the efficiency part of a reversible heat engine, it is defined as 1 minus Q2 by Q1. That is, Q2 is the quantity of heat rejected and Q1 is the quantity of heat supplied. So for a reversible heat engine, the efficiency can also be calculated as 1 minus T2 by T1, wherein T2 is the temperature at which the heat got rejected and T1 is the temperature at which the heat was supplied. That is a high temperature source. So the reversible efficiency of that heat engine, it will be the maximum efficiency, and it can be calculated as 1 minus T2 by T1. So if we know T2 and T1, we are able to calculate the efficiency of the reversible heat engine. And this of course is the maximum efficiency. More than this, it cannot be attained. Now if you take up this maximum efficiency for the given data, 82 degrees centigrade is the low temperature which was given, and 437 degrees centigrade is the high source temperature which was given. So here he is converting this to Kelvin by adding 273. So it is 273 plus 82 and 273 plus 437. So ultimately it is 1 minus 355 by 710. So the maximum efficiency will be 50% if it is a reversible heat engine. So what is the heat supplied? Heat supplied is heat rejected plus the work output, and heat rejected is 200 kilojoule, whereas the work being done is 250 kilojoule. So if you add these two, you are getting 450 kilojoule. But what he is telling is heat supplied, if you take up the given data of the problem, he is telling the heat input is 500 kilojoule. Whereas when we add 200 and 250, we are getting a value of 450. That is what is being shown here. So your heat supplied is more than this value of 450. So your heat supplied value is not equal to heat rejected plus work done. So work done is W, QR is heat rejected, QS is heat supplied. So therefore it is violating first law. This is what is the conclusion we draw it initially. Next, if we see the efficiency of the given engine is given as, this is of course the actual efficiency. So heat supplied minus heat rejected divided by heat supplied. The heat supplied is 500 kilojoule, heat rejected 200 kilojoule. So the efficiency is 60%. So this 60% efficiency is more than the maximum efficiency of 50%. So the actual efficiency itself is greater than maximum efficiency, so it violates second law. So we can conclude that such an engine is not possible. So this problem is a combination of reversed heat engine, the concept of maximum efficiency, and to know whether under the given conditions the heat engine can work or not. This is what this problem depicts. We will discuss another problem on heat engine. I'll just read out the statement of the problem. A heat engine receives heat at a rate of 1500 kilojoule per minute and gives an output of 8.2 kilowatt. Determine the thermal efficiency and the rate of heat rejection. So he is asking two entities. So what all is the given entity? The rate of heat supply is 1500 kilojoule per minute, whereas the output is 8.2 kilowatt. So just notice output is given in kilowatt, whereas the rate of heat rejection is given in kilojoule per minute. So we know what is the heat engine. It is taking Q in quantity of heat, giving W quantity of work as an output, and Q out is the heat which is rejected to the low temperature sink. Now if you take up this equivalent diagram, source Q1 quantity 1500 kilojoule per minute, W 8.2 kilowatt, this is a heat engine, Q2 quantity of heat is getting rejected. So we will first convert both into kilojoule per second. So this is kilojoule per minute. So 1500, there are 60 seconds in a minute. So we will divide this 1500 by 60, you get 25 kilojoule per second. And the work output of course is 8.2 kilowatt. It is as good as 8.2 kilojoule per second. So the thermal efficiency is net work output divided by heat supplied, and W is the work output, Q1 is the heat supplied. So 8.2 divided by 25, 32.8 will be thermal efficiency. So the rate of heat rejection will be Q2 is equal to Q1 minus W, or if you can go back to this diagram, Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W, or W is equal to Q1 minus Q2. Both means the same thing. So we are calculating heat rejected as 25 minus 8.2, that is 16.8 kilojoule per second. So such kind of problem gives you a clear concept of how actually a heat engine operates. If you take up another problem, say, which will give a more clear idea, an inventor claims that his engine has the following specifications. The temperature limits under which this engine operates is 750 degrees centigrade and 25 degrees centigrade. Of course, this 750 degrees centigrade is the higher temperature of the source, and 25 degrees centigrade is the temperature of the sink. So when the heat gets transferred from this 750 degrees centigrade to 25 degrees centigrade, the power the engine develops is 75 kilowatt. That is what is being told as a given data. Now the fuel which is burned per hour is 3.9 kgs. The meaning is the fuel burning rate is 3.9 kg per hour. That is what is the meaning of it. And of course the calorific value of the fuel, the meaning is the amount of heat this fuel liberates per unit mass basis is 74,500 kilojoule per kg. Now the problem is expecting us to state whether his claim is valid or not. So that is what we need to check, whether the claim is valid or not. Suppose this is of course the similar diagram which you people have come across. Temperature of the source, we will first convert it to Kelvin, that is 750 plus 273 is 1023 Kelvin. Temperature of the sink, that is T2, 25 plus 273, that is 298 Kelvin. Of course, this is Carnot efficiency, it is the maximum efficiency, it is a reversed heat engine, which we have discussed it earlier in the problem. So it will be 1 minus T2 by T1, that is 1 minus 298 by 1023, that is 70.86%. So of course this is the Carnot efficiency or the maximum efficiency which you can call. More than this is not attainable. Now if you take the actual thermal efficiency which the problem claims, that is the work done, see if you can observe here, the work done is 75 kilowatt, that is what is being told. Now if you can see this 75 kilowatt, he is converting it into joule, so he is multiplying this by 1000. So of course this is kilowatt hour, in the sense 1 hour has 60 minutes and 1 minute has 60 seconds. So that hour is converted into seconds, that is 60 into 60, that is 3600 seconds. And of course the fuel consumed is 3.9 kg per hour. So this hour is going to the numerator. So it is as good as 3.9. And this calorific value or heating value is given as 74,500. If it is of course in kilojoule, so he is multiplying this by 1000 to convert it in joule. So when we take this ratio, we are getting a ratio of around 92.92%. So how can this heat engine have an actual thermal efficiency of 92%, whereas the maximum attainable efficiency by any heat engine as per Carnot is 70.86%. So the actual thermal efficiency is greater than Carnot efficiency, so we conclude that the claim of the inventor is not valid. So this is how you actually try to dissect whether the given problem is matching with the given data or not, or to check whether this engine data, whether the engine will be able to develop so much amount of work or not. So we will discuss certain problems based on refrigerator and heat pump. I will just read out the statement of the problem, and we will try to understand certain things of refrigerator. This, of course, this first problem is related to a refrigeration process. Find the coefficient of performance and the heat transfer rate in the condenser of a refrigerator in kilojoule per hour, which has a refrigeration capacity of 12,000 kilojoule per hour when the power input is 0.75 kilowatt. Now we'll just see what all data is given. He has given only two data, telling that the refrigeration capacity is 12,000 kilojoule per hour and the power input required is 0.75 kilowatt. One is given in kilojoule per hour and the other one is given in kilowatts. So we'll just try to see what actually it is. We'll just try to recall what actually a refrigerator contains. So it contains four components: compressor, condenser, expansion valve, and the evaporator. And this, of course, we have discussed it in the last class session. And the refrigerated space, it is drawing QL quantity of heat and rejecting QH quantity of heat to the surroundings. And W net in is the quantity of work input. Now, if I see, this is the concise diagram of this particular uh, refrigerator. So, the refrigerator is a power consuming machine, and say Q1 quantity of heat is getting rejected to the condenser, and it is a reversed heat engine, so HE is written in a reverse way. If you write HE in a reverse way, that also becomes a refrigerator. It is quite evident from this diagram. And of course, work arrow mark is facing towards that towards the refrigerator, so there is a work input. So Q2 quantity of heat is extracted from the evaporator, and the evaporator is operating at a temperature of T2. So the CO, if you can just recall, the COP for a refrigerator is desired output by required input. You can just see this desired output is QL. Now as per this diagram, the desired output is Q2. And here W, of course, is the required work input. Now what is the refrigeration capacity? Q2 means it can extract Q2 quantity of heat. That Q2 quantity is given as 1200 kilojoule per hour. And the power input he is giving it as kilowatt. So we will convert that kilowatt also in kilojoule per hour because it is in kilojoule per second. So we have 60 seconds in 1 hour and 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So we will multiply that by 3600. So what is the COP of a refrigerator? It is Q2 divided by W. So it will be 12,000 divided by 0.75 into 60 into 60. So the COP will be 4.44. Now if you can see, according to the first law, Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W. I'll just go back. Q1 is equal to W plus Q2 because Q2 is also an input, W is also an input, Q1 is coming out from the refrigerator. So we can write Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W. So it will be 12,000 plus this 0.75 into 60 into 60. So the total is 14,700 kilojoule per hour. So he has asked us to find COP and the heat transfer rate in the condenser. So we have got the answers as COP as 4.44 and the heat transfer to the condenser as 14,700 kilojoule per hour. So this is how, this is of course a very simple problem on refrigerator. So we will discuss one another problem on heat pump. A house requires 2 into 10 raised to 5 kilojoule per hour for heating in winter, and a heat pump is used to absorb heat from cold air outside in winter and send the heat to the house. So the work required to operate the heat pump is 3 into 10 raised to 4 kilojoule per hour. Determine the heat abstracted from outside and the coefficient of performance. Now if you can see what all is the given data, so the house requires 2 into 10 raised to 5 kilojoule per hour for heating. That is the heating requirement of that house. And this work required in order to operate that heat pump is 3 to 10 raised to 4 kilojoule per hour. These are the only two data which are given, and he is asking other two data to be calculated, that is heat abstracted from outside and the coefficient of performance. So we will just try to recall what actually is a heat pump. So if you can see, QL quantity of heat is extracted from the cold environment, and of course this heat pump is a combination of condenser, compressor, evaporator and an expansion valve, which we have discussed already in the last class session. And work input is taking place to run this particular heat pump. And of course QH quantity of heat is rejected back into the warm heated space. So of course QH is our desired output, whereas for a refrigerator QL is the desired output. Now if you can see here, this is heat pump, W is the quantity of work which is an input, Q2 quantity of heat is extracted from the cold reservoir, and Q1 quantity is rejected to the hot reservoir. So Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W as per the first law. So our COP is desired output by required input. So QH is our desired output. That is what is being shown. Now if you can see the heating requirement of the house, that is the heat rejected, it is 2 into 10 raised to 5 kilojoule per hour. Work required to operate the heat pump is of course 3 into 10 raised to 4 kilojoule per hour. And now if I apply first law to this particular heat pump, you can just see here Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W. So Q1 is equal to W plus Q2, where Q2 is a heat abstracted from outside. So 2 into 10 raised to 5 and 3 into 10 raised to 4 are the values of Q1 and W. So when I substitute this, I get the value of Q2. So Q2 I would get as 1,70,000 kilojoule per hour. So the heat abstracted from outside will be 1,70,000 kilojoule per hour. Of course, this is the basics of your COP of heat pump. Suppose we want to calculate now we need to calculate the COP of that heat pump. So if you can just recall, COP of heat pump is the desired output divided by the work supplied. So work supplied W is nothing but Q1 minus Q2. See, if Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W, then Q1 minus Q2 is nothing but W. And what is the desired output? Q1 is the desired output. So instead of writing Q1 divided by W, I am writing it as Q1 divided by Q1 minus Q2 because Q1 and Q2 are given in the problem. So ultimately when we substitute the values, we get the COP as 6.66. So this is how simple problems based on heat pump and refrigerator are being discussed. Now suppose if the heating requirements of the house, suppose the same problem, this is the problem, I will just go back and show it to you. This particular problem which is given to you is operating on a heat pump. Suppose the same problem was operating by using a refrigerator, then what would have happened? So of course the COP of the refrigerator is again based on the same definition, that is desired output divided by the work input. So the desired output for a refrigerator is Q2, whereas the desired output for a heat pump is Q1. So COP of the refrigerator will be Q2 divided by Q1 minus Q2. So it will be 1,70,000 divided by 3 into 10 raised to 4. So the COP will be 5.66. So you just compare this value of 5.66 with the earlier value. By using this heat pump, we had a COP of 6.66. So what is the meaning of it? The COP is rising directly by 1. So in the last class we have proved that this particular COP of HP is equal to COP of refrigerator plus 1. This we already proved it. So it would be better to operate this particular heat extraction process by using a heat pump rather than by using a refrigerator. That is the reason we don't use refrigerators in order to keep the house warm. We use particularly heat pumps because the COP value of heat pump is greater as compared to COP value of refrigerator by a quantity 1 always. Coming to classical statement of your second law of thermodynamics. Of course, there are broadly two statements. We will first try to understand those statements and draw the meaning out of it. I'll just read out the statement and we will try to understand. So the first statement is Kelvin-Planck statement. Now what it tells is, it is impossible for any device that operates on a cycle to receive heat from a single reservoir and produces an equivalent amount of work. In other words, no process is possible whose sole result is the absorption of heat from a single reservoir and the conversion of this heat into equivalent amount of work. The meaning is, suppose we have a heat engine taking heat from certain source and is developing certain amount of power. So what he means to say is, whatever heat is taken from this source, everything is getting converted to work. Nothing is getting rejected to the sink. This is impossible. That is what Kelvin Planck statement tells. Now if you can see here, the earlier heat engines or heat pump for, suppose I will just go to this heat engine. Yeah, this particular heat engine. Here we have a heat engine, it takes Q1 quantity of heat, rejects Q2 quantity of heat and gives W quantity of work as an output. But it is not happening that is your Q is whatever is the input is equal to W. Certain quantity of heat gets definitely rejected to the sink. So what Kelvin Planck's statement tells us is it is impossible to construct a heat engine which takes heat from a single reservoir, everything it converts to work. Now, to pictorially understand it, if we go to the next slide, TH is the temperature of the high temperature source. TL is the temperature of the sink, say low temperature source. And Q is the quantity of heat which is being supplied to the system from this source. And there is a system over here. That system is a heat engine. So everything directly gets converted to work. That is what he is showing. So this Kelvin Planck statement is very much related to your heat engines. So equivalently, suppose if we, for a power plant to operate, the working fluid must exchange heat with the environment. If you try to recall back, we had discussed a Rankine cycle which had a turbine, a condenser, a boiler and a pump. The pump was a power consuming device, whereas the turbine was a power generating device. So even if you take up a heat engine operating in a power plant, the working fluid will exchange heat with the surroundings, that is the sink. The surroundings in the sense it is an environment and the environment itself is acting like a sink. So whatever heat is rejected, that is rejected to the environment. So it cannot happen that a power plant takes heat from a source Q, from a source TH, and the amount of heat taken is Q, and everything gets converted to work, that is W. So this is impossible, that is what he refers to say. So there is no heat engine which will have a thermal efficiency of 100%. That is what Kelvin Planck's statement for second law of thermodynamics tells. Now there is another statement given by Clausius. I'll just read out the statement and we'll try to understand that. It is impossible to construct a device that operates in a thermodynamic cycle and produces no effect other than the transfer of heat from a low temperature body to a high temperature body. What it means is no process is possible whose sole effect is to transfer of heat from a cooler to a hotter body. Now this Clausius statement is very much related to a heat pump and a refrigerator. What it tells is, suppose I want to transfer heat from a high temperature, from a low temperature to a high temperature level. It tells it is not possible to transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature without any external aid. That is, there has to be some work input taking place. Suppose we go back to a heat pump or a refrigerator, you are able to see this. There is a work input involved. So Q2 is the quantity of heat which is extracted from the cold reservoir, whereas Q1 is the quantity of heat which is rejected to the hot reservoir. This is going in the reverse direction. But actually, if you see, the law of nature tells that the heat transfer should take place from a body at a high temperature to a body at a low temperature. But suppose we want to transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature, then it is not possible without any external aid. And if that external aid is not there, then it is impossible to transfer this heat. That is what your Clausius statement tells. Now, I'll just read out that statement once again so that it will be quite clear. So, it is impossible to construct a device that operates in a thermodynamic cycle and produces no effect other than the transfer of heat from a low temperature body to a high temperature body. It produces no other effect. No other effect in the sense there is no work input. So what it means is no process is possible whose sole result is transfer of heat from a cooler to a hotter body. Now we have a diagram over here which you will correctly understand. So suppose there is a high temperature source, that is TH, and there is a low temperature sink, that is TL. And this is a system. That system may be a heat pump or a refrigerator or whatever it is. So this Q, the direction of the transfer of heat is from TL to TH. So there is an arrow mark which is being shown, and that arrow mark tells us that this particular heat is getting transferred from TL to TH. This is not possible. That is what Clausius statement tells. So this Clausius statement is very much related to heat refrigerators or heat pumps, whereas this Kelvin-Planck statement is very much related to heat engines. So there are two statements for laws of second law of thermodynamics. Now if you go back and see, suppose I have a refrigerator and this refrigerator is having condenser, compressor, evaporator and expansion wall, and the QL quantity of heat is getting extracted from cold refrigerated space at TL and transferred to the warm environment at a TH greater than TL. So there is a work input also involved over there. So the desired output QL is for with respect to a refrigerator. Also we have a heat pump which we have discussed it earlier. So it has again condenser, compressor, evaporator and expansion wall, and there is a work input required over here, and QH is the desired output for a heat pump. And of course we know that COP of heat pump is greater than COP of refrigerator by a quantity 1. Now we will try to understand that both statements are the same. We have understood that your Kelvin-Planck statement tells that whatever heat is supplied, everything gets converted to work. This is not possible. This is of course related to the heat engine. And if you take up the Clausius statement, what Clausius statement tells is it is not possible for you to transfer heat from a low temperature zone to a high temperature zone without any external aid. External aid in the sense there has to be some work input taking place is in this case. So both are almost the same. That is what we will try to understand. So Kelvin-Planck statement is related to heat engine, whereas Clausius statement is related to a heat pump or a refrigerator. So suppose there are two simple ways of doing it. So I'll just read out. A simple way of proving the equivalence of the two statements is as follows. First, let us consider a device which violates Clausius statement and prove that it violates Kelvin-Planck statement. We will take up a device, a refrigerator or a heat pump, wherein there is no work input. What Clausius tells is, if you want to transfer heat from low temperature zone to high temperature zone, it is telling some work input is needed. Whereas, if we don't consider that work input and still continue to operate a refrigerator or a heat pump and still continue to transfer the heat from low temperature zone to high temperature zone without any work input, the meaning is we are violating Clausius. And suppose we violate Clausius and prove that by violation of Clausius, the violation of Kelvin-Planck statement is also taking place, the meaning is both are equal. So Clausius statement is same as Kelvin-Planck. That is what it means to say. Next, what we will do is we will consider another device which violates Kelvin-Planck statement. So Kelvin-Planck statement is very much related to the heat engine, as we have discussed it earlier. So what is a heat engine going to do? It is a practical heat engine is going to take certain quantity of heat, reject certain quantity of heat to the sink, and the remainder is work. This is what actually a heat engine operates. But suppose it violates Kelvin-Planck and still continues to convert everything to work. This is violation of Kelvin-Planck. Then we will prove that it even violates Clausius statement. So we will take one by one. We will take the first aspect. Now this dotted line which I have shown is the boundary, and wherever I have written capital S, that of course is the surface of the boundary, and we will just try to check what all is there inside this boundary. There is a high temperature source in the boundary, and that high temperature source is at a temperature TH. There is a heat pump which is named as HP, and there is a heat engine named HE. Of course, QH is the quantity of heat which is rejected by this heat pump, and it is rejected to a high temperature source, that is TH. Now QH is the quantity of heat which is taken from the high temperature heat source and is supplied to this heat engine. And this heat engine gives W quantity of work as an output. Whereas this heat pump, it is not taking any work input. We are writing it clearly as W is equal to 0. And QL is the quantity of heat which this heat pump extracts from the low temperature source TL. So temperature of the sink is TL. So at temperature TL, this heat pump is extracting QL quantity of heat and rejecting QH quantity of heat to the high temperature source. This is how a heat pump is operating. Now this heat pump is producing no other effect. It is simply taking QL quantity and rejecting QH quantity. It is transferring heat from low temperature sink to high temperature source. And it is not using any work. It is W is equal to 0. So it clearly tells us that it is violating Clausius statement. So W is equal to 0. Now this, what all is there inside this boundary? There is a high temperature source, that is QH quantity getting rejected to TH, and again QH quantity is getting rejected by the heat pump. QH quantity is taken from this heat engine, and that heat engine is rejecting QL dash quantity of heat to the sink, and W quantity of work is the output which is coming out from the heat engine. So we are seeing here that since W is equal to 0, so it is violating Clausius statement. Now we will try to understand what is Clausius. What is Clausius statement telling us? It is impossible to construct a device that operates in a thermodynamic cycle and produces no effect other than transfer of heat from low temperature body to high temperature body. But here it is producing no other effect. It is simply transferring QL, extracting QL and transferring QH to the high temperature source, and W is 0. So this is only a slide to make you recall what is Clausius. So our heat pump in this particular diagram is violating Clausius statement. Now say this heat pump is working in a cycle, and if you apply first law, that the summation of heat is equal to the summation of work. So we have already assumed that there is no work input to this heat pump, so W will be equal to 0. So therefore QH minus QL will be equal to 0. So QH will be equal to QL, in other words. Suppose you apply this first law to the heat engine, so W net will be QH minus QL. You will just go back to the slide and see. W net, this W quantity of work is coming out from the heat engine. So QL dash quantity of heat is getting rejected from this heat engine, and QH quantity is supplied to the heat engine. So how do you calculate W output from this heat engine? It is QH minus QL dash. But we already know that your QH is equal to QL. So I can write Q net is QH minus QL dash. As can be noted that the heat transfer to the system is only from a low temperature reservoir. It is given by QL minus QL dash. Now if you can see, QH quantity is rejected from this heat pump and sent to the high temperature source, and again QH quantity is taken from the high temperature source to run the heat engine. So I can simply remove the high temperature source, and whatever heat is rejected from the heat pump QH, that I can directly give it as an input to the heat engine. This we can definitely do it. So what it tells is W net by Q net is again QH minus QL dash, and this Q net is also QH minus QL dash. W net is QH minus QL dash, and Q net is also QH minus QL dash. So W net by Q net is QH minus QL dash divided by QH minus QL dash. It is directly 100%. So this violates Kelvin Planck. So the meaning is whatever is the work output is equal to the heat input. Now we just go back and try to recall. This of course is the heat pump. It is violating Clausius statement. It is taking QL quantity of heat and directly rejecting QH quantity of heat to the reservoir, and W is the work input, and that work input is totally zero. And if work input is totally zero, the meaning is it is violating Clausius statement. Now there is a heat engine which is again in the same boundary. So the heat engine is taking QH quantity of heat and rejecting QL dash quantity of heat to the low temperature source. So it is giving W quantity of work as an output. So if QH quantity is rejected from the heat pump and the same QH quantity is taken as an input to the heat exchanger, to the heat engine, so we can simply remove the high temperature source, and the same QH quantity which is rejected from the heat pump is given as an input to the heat engine, and the heat engine develops W quantity of work. So it violates even Clausius, Kelvin Planck statement. So if W is 0, then it is violating Clausius, and in this case if we operate this combination of heat pump and heat engine, it is as good as the heat exchange, the heat engine is exchanging heat with a single reservoir, that is its efficiency is coming out to be 100%. Whatever value of heat is supplied, everything is getting converted to work. So it is violating even Kelvin Planck statement. So if we move further, so we will just go back. In order to prove the equivalence of the two statements, we had considered firstly that let the device violate Clausius, and we will try to prove that it violates even Kelvin Planck statement. That is what we have already done now. Then secondly, if it violates Kelvin Planck, then we'll prove that it violates even Clausius statement. So we will try to understand that first. So we will go into the second case wherein the device is violating Kelvin Planck statement, and if the device is violating Kelvin Planck statement, it is violating Clausius statement also. This is what we should prove in the second case. So we will go directly to the second case. Suppose a device is violating Kelvin Planck. Again we have a dotted line, and in that dotted line boundary we have a heat engine and a heat pump, and TH of course is the temperature of the source, high temperature source, that is TH, H for high and T for temperature. QH is the quantity of heat which is supplied from this high temperature source to the heat engine, and QL dash is the quantity of heat which is rejected from this heat engine, and of course it is 0. and there is a W quantity of work output which is coming out from this particular heat engine, and this W quantity of work output which is coming out from this heat engine is equal to QH. So this W or QH is acting as an input to the heat pump, and this heat pump is drawing QL quantity of heat from the low temperature sink, and the temperature of the sink is TL. Now what should happen is, if I apply first law to this heat pump, so it is QH and QL, the meaning is it is QH plus QL. So it is as good as telling that the heat which is rejected from the heat pump is the sum of QH and QL, or it is the sum of W and QL, because W is equal to QH. Now if you see in this particular diagram, there is a heat engine which takes QH quantity of heat as an input. It gives W quantity of work as an output. It does not reject any heat to the low temperature source, that is QL, QL dash, and that is 0. And everything what is being supplied to this particular heat engine, everything is getting converted to work. The meaning is it is violating Kelvin-Planck statement. Whatever is supplied to the heat engine, everything is getting converted to work. So QH is equal to W, or W is equal to QH, and this which output which we are getting from the heat engine is being supplied as a work input to the heat pump, and this heat pump extracts QL quantity of heat from the low temperature source, that TL, and QH plus QL is the quantity of heat which is rejected to the high temperature source at TH. Now consider the heat pump and the heat engine together as a system. Suppose if you go back and see, together we have drawn a dotted line comprising of heat engine and the heat pump, and whatever is the output from the heat engine, everything is given as an input to the heat pump. So if we consider the heat pump and the heat engine together as a system, then the heat pump rejects QH plus QL to the hot reservoir, and there is no need of the hot reservoir at all. So the system is undergoing a thermodynamic cycle during which QL is transferred from low temperature reservoir to high temperature reservoir without any work from outside the system. If there is no work given outside from the system, then again it is violating Clausius statement. See, if you take up this QH and QL, QH and QL, it is taking, I will just remove this and give it back to this heat pump. The meaning is, whatever this heat pump is rejecting, again it is coming back to the same heat pump in the form of work. How is that possible? So what Clausius tells is that transfer of, where QL is transferred from low temperature reservoir to high temperature reservoir without any work from the outside system. So it is violating Clausius statement. So if we go back again and recall, so this heat engine which is giving, not rejecting any heat to the surroundings, and it is giving out work output at the rate of W, and QH is the quantity of heat which is as an input. So combination of these two tells us that if we violate Kelvin-Planck statement, we are going to violate Clausius. So if we go back and see, just try to recall what all we people have studied. So we have solved some problems on heat engine and refrigerator and heat pump. We have studied both statements of second law, that is Kelvin-Planck and Clausius statement, and we have even proved that violation of one statement proves to be the violation of the another. So we have proved that both statements are equivalent. The remaining things we will continue it in the next class. Thank you.